Hey guys, it's Curt and John with FLR, and today we're looking at the Arex Delta M Gen 2.
This is a neat gun. I really appreciate a lot of the design cues on this. It's got, multi-textured grip.
The same textures up here on the gas pedal, which is on both sides. Speaking of both sides, this gun is fully ambidextrous. So we've got ambi mag release, ambi slide release.
The thing that I like about this over a lot of other sort of, we'll just say it, Glock clones that you'll see, is the attention to detail on this in terms of design. So for instance, one of the cool things I really like, the mag release, it's not just your standard kind of Glock mag release. That being said, it does look like it's sort of contoured in. It's still easy to hit.
Striker indicator in the back, as well as a loaded chamber indicator on the top. It is cut for an optic, but the plates are plastic and they're not fantastic.
The trigger, it is an all-polymer trigger, so keep that in mind.
It's got a little bit of wall, and then brake, and then reset right there. And brake, and reset right there. It's a very short reset.
The frame and the overall grip on the gun is a little bit smaller than you're going to find on a lot of comparable guns in the same lineup. So if you've got folks with a little bit smaller hands, it's definitely, I'd totally take a look at this.
So in about 2016, Arex hit the market really strong with their Arex Zero. And as time has come on, they released the Arex Delta and then the Gen 2 a few years later. Now, they were originally imported by Fime Group, but then now they are imported by Global Ordnance. So we want to thank Global Ordnance for sponsoring this video, sending over the gun and the ammo for review. So the Arex Delta is a good looking gun. If you look at it in a slew of black guns, it stands out due to the design. Now, it does come in a number of different colors. Comes in this sniper gray, FDE, black, and a couple other colors. Now, this is a modular framed gun, so you can take out the internals and change the frames. They also come in a number of different grip lengths, so you can get what we would call like a Glock 19X size frame, you can get the full size frame, or you can get the Glock 19 size frame, which is the M right here.
It also comes with additional back straps, so if you want to adjust the size of the grip, you can do that as well.
Yeah, they come with a lot in the box.
It really does.
So in the box, you will get the pistol, you will get 3 additional back straps, you'll get multiple different plates to go with the most popular optics cuts. So let's go ahead and hop right in to build quality. Build quality, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. And it has nothing to do with the gun itself. It has everything to do with the dumb optics plate system. And I sound very angry because I am very angry. I want to applaud Arex. Good on you. Way to go, guys. Giving all the plates at a price point of $389.99 on sale. So you can find them from like $389 to $429, so they're really good. They also do come with 2 mags, one 15 round and one 17 round mag. The build quality of the pistol itself is really good.
Yep.
It's a very high quality build gun. The issues I have are the optics plates. I've broken 2 of them.
And why did you break them, John?
Because they're plastic.
Why?
They're plastic with little like washers that you have to put into them, and if you torque down just a little too hard, the metal washers eat into the plates. They don't sit even if you don't torque them down just right. It's such a pain in the butt system because even if you put the plate and have the right torque specs on the plate, if you over torque the screws just a little bit, the optic sits like this. And that's why there's no optic on this gun.
My bigger issue with it is the plate system itself, there's always question with that. When they're metal, there's questions about longevity and reliability and that kind of thing. I've racked my slide off the optic on things. Just from shooting the gun a lot, I've had one of those screws shear. I've had issues with that whole plate system. You've now got areas where it can flex, it can expand and contract. There's just inherently in that, you can basically make a failure point. And the fact that Arex thought, oh, I know, we'll just make them out of plastic, I have nothing to say. That's honestly inexcusable. So for build quality, all that said, I give it a 4 because everything else on this gun is great. It really is. Everything else is really, really above bar. The fit and finish on it's really good. The action on the slide is really smooth. I like the trigger. And we'll get into a little bit more later. Just the design cues on this gun are top notch, but that optics plate system is really just, I feel like they were like, hey, we just need to sort of check a box and go, hey, we have optics ready. No.
Well, I applaud them for putting, because a lot of companies, and we just saw this recently with Daniel Defense, and our friend over at We Like Shooting were just about this the other day. There's a lot of companies that will let you order the plates you want.
Right.
But then you're waiting 6 to 8 weeks to get them in.
Right.
So now you have an optics ready pistol that's not optics ready right out of the box.
I think that had more to do with the fact that they didn't have the plates ready in time for the launch of the gun, let's be honest. That's just trying to polish that turd right there.
But we've seen it with Walther did the same thing, and they had a quicker turnaround time. It was about 2 weeks. But the same thing is like, I love the idea of being able to order your own plates. Mm-hmm. And I love the idea that this comes with all the plates. But if I have an optics ready pistol that right now with this one is not optics ready and I can't use, it kind of defeats the purpose of having an optics ready pistol. So next we have is reliability, and 100% 5 stars. Like, this thing has run everything we put through it. Global sent us over some really hot Igman loads, which are 124 grain NATO. Just ate them up. This thing is eating everything we've put through it.
I agree. I also give it a 5. Like you said, we didn't have any issues whatsoever, no malfunctions, no jams, and no issues in terms of reliability, so I'd definitely give it a 5.
So next is feel, and this is where Curt and I are going to differ. I give it like a 3 for feel. The texturing is fantastic. The gun just feels boxy to me. It feels weird. The angles are weird. Like, I just doesn't feel really great in my hands, so I'm giving it a 3 for that.
You're so wrong. You're so wrong. No, I give it a 5. What I will say, the gun does shoot. It's a little snappy. It has a little bit sharper recoil impulse than you're find from other, sort of Gen 3, Glock-esque pistols out there. That being said, I really like the feel of this. The frame itself, it's narrower, I think. And I think that's really where some folks may be a little bit divided. But overall, I mean, this thing just looks great. It really does. The other thing that I really appreciate about it is they didn't just phone it in. The fact that they put design and effort into, the slide release and the mag release, right? They didn't just make it like a standard, like, I'm just gonna make it a box, meh, right? That's cool. Like, I appreciate the fact that they put design and aesthetics into this. It's got a rear striker indicator. The slide serrations are good and they look great. Now, what you can do, like we mentioned, they've got additional back straps, so you can swap those out. I think that'll definitely help with the, a little bit sharper recoil impulse. The trigger also has, it's not just a standard trigger. They put design into all of this gun, and so overall, I think it's a great package. If you've got giant meat paw hands, I think that this grip might feel a little bit slim. But again, you can customize that with all the different back straps that it comes with.
Listen, I'm not arguing that this thing looks good, and they put design cues into everything, and the trigger is fantastic. It's got a really good short reset on it.
Yep.
But for a gun that is basically a Gen 3 Glock-ish, and in that size, it should not hurt to shoot. And it's got... So when I shot this, it's got a really weird recoil impulse for me where it beats the back of my hand right here. Hey, listen, I'm giving my opinion on this. I want to love this thing, but at the same time, like, it shouldn't recoil the way it does.
Why you gotta be a little bit? No, I will say, this thing's a bit snappy. It really is. For me though, honestly, I don't mind it because as I weigh everything out, I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons of that personally.
So next is factory options. I'm gonna have to give it a 5 because you can get different frames for this. You can get all the mags for it. They are, I believe, SIG sights and or XD sights. Correct me, somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but there are replaceable sights for it. There's a lot of things that you can get for this gun from the factory to make it, and because it is that modular system, it's really easy to swap out frame sizes. You just have to buy extra mags.
I also give it a 5. Like you mentioned, I really like the modularity of it and the fact that it's very easy to change up the configuration of this gun. It does come with a 15 and a 17 round mag, so you've got the extended 17.
Next is Aftermarket. I'm going to say it's a 4. I really haven't seen any Aftermarket barrels, but I do know that you can get a threaded barrel straight from Arex themselves or from Global Ordnance. You can also get Aftermarket sights. There are Aftermarket plates. Thank God, Aftermarket. Love Aftermarket for fixing that. So our friends over at Calculated Kinetics do metal plates for the Arex, which is fantastic. Good on them to come up with a solution for the issue that we had with it.
I give it a 3 in the grand scheme of things. It's not as popular or as well known at this point. You're not going to have as many options as a Glock or anything like that, right? But like you mentioned, there definitely are aftermarket parts available. I really want to reiterate the point that, you know, Calculated Kinetics has aftermarket metal plates, because without them, this red dot mounting system is honestly not usable. And so they've really taken something and made it so you can actually use it for its intended purpose.
Well, the big thing is, like, there is not a lot of aftermarket support, but there's a lot of factory support.
Right.
Which is the exact opposite of what you see from most companies. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a ton of different frame options and a ton of different mag options. So I think that with the amount of support that the factory options have, that kind of negates some of the aftermarket stuff.
No, I agree. And again, you're not lacking. You know, you're not going to be lacking in finding, you know, any modifications you want to do to this, which I think is really good.
So last is X Factor. X Factor is a 3, and for me, and it's the X Factor for this is the looks. It looks fantastic. There's a lot of guns out there that are just do not look as good as this. I mean, they really curved everything in. They've really built this gun around concealed carry where everything is just, nothing is like a straight corner on this. Everything is kind of curved and rounded and perfect for that. Other than that, like, there's really not much that gives it, except for maybe the box with everything in it. You get a cleaning kit, you get the 2 mags, you get the optics plates that immediately go in the trash. You've got the trigger lock that immediately goes in the trash too. But there is something there, but it's just not up there for me.
So X Factor for me is a 5. If I could give it a 10, I would. I really appreciate good designs and aesthetics. And don't get me wrong, function has to lead. That being said, I really, really appreciate the fact that Arex came to the table and they put a lot of really cool design cues in this, but with that, it works. The grip texturing on this frame is really good, but the fact that the way they have all the different panels and that kind of thing, it just looks really slick. They could have gone with just a stock trigger. They didn't do that. They put some custom work into that trigger, and the lines on it are really clean. This thing looks like a sports car. You'll get people who will be like, none of that matters. Well, yeah, it does. I'm sorry. I appreciate the fact that they put a lot of cool design cues into this and also made a really good, reliable gun. I like the modularity of it. This thing just looks cool on the range. That plate system though, that's tough. But again, I think that's a place where they can make some improvements in their next gen, but there are options and they're pretty inexpensive to be able to get a plate system.
So the last question we ask is, are you a buyer? Curt, are you a buyer?
All day, every day. I absolutely love the way this thing looks. I like the way it shoots. And I honestly wish more gun companies would really take notice of this and put some more time and effort into, you know, the overall aesthetics of it, while also honestly, you know, having a good and reliable functioning firearm. So John, how about you? Are you a buyer?
No.
What?
Yeah, there's another option out there I like a little bit more. Listen, I think the gun is fantastic as it is. It looks great, the trigger's great, everything's good on it. And going to our sponsor, Click Bang Firearms, the other day, I was sitting there talking to the guy behind the counter, and he said that the Arex Delta was his first handgun. And I've heard that from a lot of people. A lot of people have said that the Arex Delta was their first handgun. I think this is a very, very good first handgun, especially at the price point.
I think that's the biggest thing to really stress here. the price point that you can pick these up for is amazing. You get a lot of gun for the price.
Yeah, you know, I really want to be a buyer. I really do like the way this gun looks. I can shoot well with it. You're making fun of me because I don't like the recoil impulse, personally.
Does it hurt your little hand? It hurts his little hand.
There's other guns out there that do the same thing that don't have as much recoil.
Why you gotta be a little No, it does. It's snappy. It is a little snappier than other guns out there. And there's been guns that we reviewed recently that have a lighter recoil impulse. That being said, it's not bad, but it is. It's just something to take note that it's a little snappy, but I'm sorry, did it hurt your little hand?
So we got one of these a while back. And I remember you said that you handed it to somebody who was new.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, I love this thing. And that's where I think this really stands out, is that it is really, really great for a first-time buyer because you have everything you need right there, except for like maybe a flashlight and night sights and things like that. I mean, they do offer so many factory options. Personally, once the optic goes on this, the sights are unusable. I don't like that. That's why really I'm not, like if I was in the market for a first handgun, I would say yes. I've really been looking at this gun since it came out. I really like the way it looks. Now that I have it in my hand, it's one of those things where like I would have probably regret buying it.
Really?
In all honesty, because it would have just, I want to love it. I really want to love it because it looks good. The texture's good. It feels good in the hand. Like there's a lot of things like that I really like and also don't like at the same time about how boxy it kind of feels too. And it's just weird that I want to love this, but also I don't love it.
I think the other thing to really stress though is you and I think are unique to a degree in the fact that, you know, when we get a gun, the first thing we're gonna do is start modifying the heck out of that thing, right? Most people don't do that. Most people will buy this gun and leave it exactly the way it is, you know? So again, will some people put red dots on it? Maybe, honestly, maybe not, right? I agree with what you're saying about the sights. Would it make sense to come factory with suppressor height? For this gun, probably not, because a lot of people aren't gonna go that route. And the fact that it is that you can buy, you know, from Arex, a different frame or different slider, or, you know, the modularity of this, and the fact that you can buy into this platform, I think that's great. And I think that that's gonna be a direction that a lot of people can go, and I think it is. It's a good first gun. I think it's a good platform to kind of look at. And I think that it's definitely worth investing in.
I can't disagree. If you are a first-time buyer, don't let my opinion dissuade you. I really do think this is a great gun for a first-time buyer, especially if you're looking at a budget for $389 or $429, depending on the sale. I mean, Global runs sales all the time, so make sure you keep a look on Global's website because they run sales and deals on these all the time. I really think this is a great option if you want to get into the shooting sports or want a gun for self-defense. This is there. I mean, there's holster support for it already. I really think that there's a lot of great options, and if you're going to spend $389, I can't name a better trigger out there for $389.
No, I agree. And honestly, I think we've seen them in like the low threes sometimes. Not often.
Not often.
But you can find this thing in the low 300, you know, around $300. So
I think the lowest I've seen it, I believe it was a Black Friday sale from Global, was $289. Almost, or $329, $289. It was right.
Yeah, right? So, like, how can you go wrong? Especially if you're looking for a first gun or something like that. It is. This thing, it looks great. It feels good. I just think that it stands out, and I do. I appreciate that. I think it is. Give it a try. Check it out. If you find it on sale, all day long.
Oh, it's totally worth picking up. When I originally looked at this gun was almost $500. So if I bought it, and I would have regretted it almost.
At that price point, it's a very competitive field, and for $500, there's probably some better options. But again, for the price point that this thing comes in at, give it a look. Yeah.
You can. Yeah, definitely give it a look. So, guys, thank you for watching today. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell for notification. Again, thank you to our sponsor, Click Bang Firearms out of Chandler, Arizona.
We'd also like to thank Global Ordnance. They supplied ammo for this review.
Thank you guys for watching and have a great rest of your day.